Paul Dayball from Niagara College in Welland, Ontario, Canada. And today I'm going to use InDesign to do a bit of wireframing or storyboarding, whatever you'd like to call it. This is just my method of doing it. I'm sure there's lots of other, and there of course is all sorts of other methods and all sorts of other applications to do it in. But this is how I'm going to show you how to do it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create kind of a wireframe for a mobile app. I'm going to start this by first creating kind of a backdrop for the app, something like what the mobile looks like. So I'm going to hit create new over here, and I'm going to go over to mobile. I'm going to use this one, the iPhone 876. So I'm just going to click on that, and then I can go down here, over here, and say 0 on the margins, because I don't really need a margin. Going to go ahead and say create, and that's going to give me the size of iPhone. I'm going to set up a rectangle in here. I'm going to just do this first. I don't really need to go to the whole thing, just so I can start getting this to the shape, and then I can move it out to the shape. I'm going to go to stroke. The first thing I'm going to do is put this here. Over in here, where the stroke aligns. So that blue line, do you want, as you increase the thickness of the line, do you want the thickness to go towards the inside, towards the outside of the line, which is that one, or grow equally around the blue line that's already there? So I'm going to do this one so it goes towards the inside. I'm going to thicken this line up. We'll make it 15. That should be about right. And then I'm going to put some corners around it on this so it looks more like a phone. I'm going to go to corner options right here under object. And the first thing I'm going to do is make sure it's round. You have to make sure that this is dark so that they all become round and they all get the same size. Later on, we'll be turning that off. Oh, should hit the preview so we can actually see it getting rounded. And there we go. I'll just keep rounding it out until I get the look I like. That's about right. Okay, say okay. And now I'm just going to pull this out to the sides to get the right exact shape of the phone. Next thing I'm going to do is I just want it to look more like a phone. So I'm going to duplicate this box by holding down Shift and Option. So I'm just going to move it sideways. I'm holding down the Shift and Option key, let go of the mouse first, and it duplicates the box. I'm going to put that box right back on top and pull this down to here. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to create the look of the phone so it has like a button down here. I want to get rid of this rounding on the top. Oh, got to make sure that stays right on the bottom. I'm going to try to get rid of this rounding here. I want it to stay round on the bottom, but I don't want it rounded on the top. I'm going to go back to my corner options under object. And this time I'm going to unselect this. Make sure it's across through it. That way I can control each of these separately. I'm going to go here and I'm going to say there is no rounding, none, on the top left and the top right. And that will square it off as you see at the bottom. Now remember, to start this entire exercise, I should have mentioned this earlier, you want to make sure this is in the typography mode over here. That way you have all this stuff at the top. Because if you just go to the essentials mode, that top disappears, you lose all the ribbons and stuff. So I stay in the typography mode. I want to fill this in with black, so I'm going to go to swatches. I want you to remember that that indicates the color of the actual line. So here, if I click this, you'll see the line is blue. But I want to keep it black. But I want to fill the inside in with black. So I want to make sure I bring this fill forward. That's over here under swatches. I bring the fill forward, that I can fill that with black. Next, I'm going to draw a little button, just a little circle for a button. I'm going to do that by going over here to the rectangular tool, but this is called the ellipse tool. I don't want the one with the X through it, or I'll have an X through everything. So I just want the ellipse tool. Holding down the Shift key, I can draw a nice circle. I'm holding the Shift key down while I draw, let go of the mouse button first, and then it stays in a nice circle. I'm going to fill that circle with white. You can see I'm on the fill mode here. I'm going to put the paper in there. I'm going to drag that down to here. Now I want you to watch as I go along. Look at the purple line popping up. See the purple line going right through? That means I'm right in the center. And then as I go down, I should get a green line pop up through the center, and that says I'm in the center of this area here. It's a really nice feature for lining things up. So there you go. I've got the shape of a phone. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that. I'm just going to save it out as iPhone 8 shape. And am I going to save it? I'm going to save it as an InDesign document first so that I have it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to export it as a PDF. So I'm going to say high quality print export. Doesn't really matter which one, as long as I have one. And you can see that it says iPhone shape.pdf. I'm just going to stick that right on my desktop. And I'm going to export it. So now I have this saved as an InDesign file, but I also have it saved as a PDF that I can use as an image. Now, the reason I didn't fill this square in with white, I don't want it to be white. I want it to be transparent. And by drawing it like that, and that red line right there indicates transparency. So if you see, if I select this, that's transparency. That means that I'll be able to put stuff behind, in front of this without it interfering. All right, next, I'm going to start the next project. I'm going to say new document. And this time I want to go to web. I want to go to web, and I'm going to hit view all the presets. I'm going to go with 1024 by 768. That'll be a good size screen. It would show up nicely on a TV screen. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave in the margin this time just to make the document look nice. And what I have to do is go ahead and bring in that phone that I just created. So I'm going to go, I'm going to say place, right here, place. And I'm going to find my phone that's on the desktop. It's right there, iPhone 8 shape. I'm going to hit open, and you'll notice that it comes into what's called a loaded icon. All I have to do is now click and drag like that, and it's the shape of the icon. Now, if I want to size it out more, it's really important to size it proportionally. So Shift allows you to size, and if you click and hold here, you'll notice that I can size. And even if I move my mouse up and down, it stays in proportionality. That's what the Shift key does. So if I do that, one more, sorry, I have to hold Shift and Command. I'm sorry, Shift and Command, and it keeps it in proportionality. Shift and Command. And the reason you're seeing it is because I'm clicking and holding for a second, and then I'm moving. The click and hold allows you to see it actually happening. Now I'm going to duplicate this across by holding down Shift, which allows me to move straight sideways. And Option is the duplicate. So I have Shift and Option down. I let go of the mouse first. And then as I move it along, you can see that little green marks show up at the bottom. And that's telling me that is the same width as the other one in front of it. Now I'd like to get 5, and I don't have enough room here. So I'm going to show you the trick of how I size everything at once. I click out here and I drag a box around here, and it selects everything that it touches. Now that they're selected, if I hold down Shift and Command, I can pull this like this, and everything gets smaller. Click out, click this one, move this one over with Shift and Option down, let go, and now I have them all the same. And then look at this, I can now size them up to fit the space. I'm going to move them down a little bit because I might have to put stuff on the top. And there I go. I've started the basic look. Now, what we had done in class and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and do the imaginary pizza app. We're going to order a pizza. So what we talked about was that we have to get a list of what the most important things are and what the call to actions are and stuff like that. Really, what I'm here for is to show you the technical portion of this. So I'm just going to kind of zip through this as far as that portion of it. First thing I do is I'm going to draw a little oval here And I've decided that I'm going to draw a little oval. I'm going to fill it with black. You'll see that I've got the fill forward over here. I'm going to go black. And then I'm going to tint that down to about 20%. And what I'm going to say is that anywhere I put that kind of a look, that'll be kind of like a logo for the piece. We also decided during some of the classes that at the top of this, we might have some sort of a piece where we're going to tell people what today's special is. So in this area right here, there's going to be a today's special, but it's going to go right across the top, almost like a banner with a logo on it. And today's specials during the programming are going to so that if it's Tuesday, Tuesday special pops up here. So I'm going to fill that with black. I'm going to bring that back to a little bit less. And I'm going to send to back. Oh, before I send it back, you notice I've got square on here. I'm going to blow this up for you. You notice I got a square on here. I need a bit of a rounding. So I'm going to go to Object, to Corner Options. I've got this selected. What I want is you notice this is unlinked. See the cross through it? I want the top left and top right to be rounded. And I'm just going to round it down so it just touches that corner like that. Like that. And then I can say OK. And now this object here, I'll go to the first tool. This object here I'm going to send to back. Perfect. Move that up until it's centered. All right. Now here's your problem though. The problem is that this is now on top of this. I sent this to back, so I can't get to this. I have a hard time getting to the back. The trick to this is to hold down the Command key. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here. The trick to this is hold down the Command key and click again, and you'll see that I now get this object. I can hold the Shift key down and grab this object, and I have those two objects selected. Now all I have to do is hold Shift Option and drag this over. And I'm going to put that look on every page so I have a common unified look to my app. Now, it might be different information go up in here. This might be different information on each page, but we can program that for each page, right? But at least it gives us a common unified look. So the first page is going to have a big picture. And I'm going to put a box here with an X through it for a big picture. I'll fill that box with gray. Now, those lines aren't going to show up once we put it into preview mode. So we'll have to draw some X's across there, but let's not worry about that just yet. So I'm going to have a big picture there. It's going to be a picture, but it might have text on it and graphics and promoting the place and stuff. But at least we have something. The next thing we kind of made a decision was that down here, we're going to have some sort of a map where we are, contact us, that kind of information in here. And we'll work on exactly what that information is as we go along. But that's going to be some sort of map or contact. Then there's going to be a button right here, and this is going to be a call to action button where it says, hey, order your pizza. We're also going to have a small button up here. That'll be more like a hidden button, but it'll be a button up here, and we could get next week's specials. So those are buttons that we can actually push. Okay. Now, understanding that the logo button will always bring you back to the home page, and we may want to put a home page button somewhere, but we'll work towards that. The next page is going to be the 4 pizzas that we really want to sell. These are the big seller pizzas. They're going to make us money. You know, that's what we want to do with these pizzas. So I've got one box here, and then I'm going to hold down my Command and Shift, or Option Shift, Option Shift. I'm going to pull this sideways, and I'm going to let go of the mouse first, and then I'm going to hold down the Shift key, click on this, so I have both selected, hold down. Oh, what happened? Got the wrong thing selected. So just undo, Command Z, go back. I'm going to click on this one, I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to click on this, and now I have these two selected. Hold down Option Shift, pull this down. Do I still have that? Yep. So let's see if we can fix this by putting it somewhere else. What should we do to get rid of our problem? Well, I didn't mention this during class, but you can lock. So if I click Shift, click, I'm holding down Shift and clicking. I've got the 4 pieces done. What I could do up here is I could go up here and I could say lock, and it will lock that down so that we can't move it. Okay, so if I try to move this, I can't move it. That'll solve a lot of your issues. All right, so I'm going to pull this down. That's about right. I'm going to keep holding my Shift key down here while I select these. I'm going to hold down Shift Command and pull this in a little bit. Well, that didn't really work out well. Missed one. Let's see if I can get them selected. There we go. All right. So this is going to be, these are going to be the pizza special. Like these are the special pizzas that we want people to order, you know, like the expensive pizza that we would love people to order so we can make more money. But so those are some, you know, primary pizzas that we have. We're then going to have a button down here, which is you could click on one of these and then this button would highlight and you could order the pizza. Or this button here, I'll just make it a little less intense. This button here is going to take you to a screen where you can custom order. So you can make your own pizza or order one of these specialty pizzas. The next screen is where we're going to get it so that they can customize their pizza. I'm going to get a bunch of options here. You would flesh this out a little later, but going to put some color in there. I'm holding my Shift key down while I do that, and Shift Option to do this. And then we have the, you know, you make your selection and then you hit the order button. Next screen. Next screen is going to be much like this screen. And it's going to be a screen where you put in information. So we might have a first name, last name, street, city, prov, postal code, that kind of thing. And then you might have information on what it's going to cost, all of that kind of stuff. So this is going to be a screen of information about what your order is, where it's going to, or when you're going to pick it up. So maybe we have 2 buttons. We have the pickup button and the, I don't know, delivery button or something like that. So we could have that kind of thing. The last screen, I'm going to put in the daily specials. So I need 7 of them, assuming they're open 7 days a week. I'm going to have 6 of them like this. I'm holding the Shift key down while I select those. I'm going to hold down the Command key, lets me shape them. And I can shape them all as a group. You notice I have 6 here, because I've decided that my last one is going to be a larger one. Let's say I've got some sort of real special going on or something. So let's suggest that. And then that one's got a return button. Return to home. All right, let's see how we now start putting some connections between these. I'm going to use my my pen tool. I'm going to say that this button, and all I do is I click once with the pen tool, click, hold the shift key down, gives me a straight line, click, keep holding the shift key down, click, click. Now with that selected, I can go under stroke here and I can thicken the line up, and then I can say I want a beginning to the line, and I'm going to use the solid circle for the beginning. Here, I'll thin it down a little bit. And then I'm going to, for the end of it, I'm going to use an arrow. Okay. If I need to adjust this line, if I need to adjust the line, understand, I can go to the second tool and you'll see that, let me blow this up so you can see this a bit better. You can see that I can, with the second tool, you'll see that I have the points. And this can, all the points are selected now, but if I hold down, if I click off and click on, you can see that I just have this line and I can pull just this line. Or I can pull just this point, like that. So I'm going to pull this line up so I leave lots of room for the next one. I'm going to hold my shift key down while I'm doing it. It makes it nice and straight. Then once I draw one of those lines, life gets a lot easier because it's quicker to do. I'm going to go to the first tool here. So I got this whole thing selected, and I'm simply going to click and drag this over. Remembering that this is a order button, and we'll have this order button go somewhere. I'm going to stretch this out so that we might have that order button go somewhere. This one is going to this screen. That was pretty easy. And this one is the order screen. So we have to have this go to here. It also, this one goes to there. So I'm going to stretch this out. You can see all I'm doing is pulling these lines out. Now this line I want to come down. So click off, click on this tool, click on the line, hold the shift key down, pull down. I'm going to go to my first tool. I'm going to take this line up here. I'm going to move, duplicate this up by holding the Option key down. And watch this. If I click and hold, watch, it'll flip right upside down. I can put that here. Stretch that out to here. Now, I could go ahead and put names of the screens. I could say, this is the home screen, this is the order special screen, this is the, do your thing screen, right? Oh, I realized I moved this and didn't duplicate it. There we go. All right, so that's it. That's how you do a basic wireframe and how you can start designing screens before you start programming. And that way you have everything and people can say, yeah, but what about this? What about that? So there you go. I'm Paul Dayball from Niagara College. Good day.